is April 8th, 2009, and this is my entire Sega Genesis collection as of today. As I go through the games, I'm just going to talk, my experiences about the Sega Genesis and my thoughts on it when I first had it. So, as I'm scrolling through, just listen to me talk until you can't really tell what a game is. My friend first got a Sega Genesis a long time ago, and it was the first 16-bit system I've ever played. I was kind of amazed. When I was at a place called like a Costco or a Sam's Club, it was called Price Club back in the day. I've seen Sonic and I played a little bit of it, and I was amazed because it blew away what my Nintendo had. And I was jonesing to get one. This is Mortal Kombat 3, by the way. Anyways, so my friend, his brother bought one, and the first two games we played just blew us out of just blew our minds, man. We were so amazed to see the graphical power, of a 16-bit system. I wasn't biased back then, but as soon as I got my Super Nintendo, all I did was compare the difference between the games. And when I was a young child, I was really upset with any good games that came to the Genesis exclusively or were better on the Genesis. And to name a few, were like the Mortal Kombat. There was no way you could change my mind when I was a kid saying that Mortal Kombat was better for the Genesis just because blood. Looking back at it now, they are both pretty equal when you think about it, but the blood and the gore, it changes it, dramatically. And when you're a kid, just reliving that experience from the arcade was just awesome. Now it's nothing big because we always see blood in basically anything. Quick side note: this is the best tennis game I've ever played in my life. It destroys any of the current tennis games, except for like the newer Sega ones, which are pretty good, but this one I was addicted to. I played for like hours on end. Anyways, I was a big Super Nintendo fan, and just seeing games like Aladdin and stuff like that, I was just so against it. And thankfully now that I have money to purchase newer games, and as like retro ones as well, sorry, kind of screwed up there, I grown to appreciate what the Genesis had to offer. And I was so wrong to think that the Genesis was like a bad system back then. Like I feel ashamed that I was so pissed off and jealous that I wouldn't even give it any credit. Was the Genesis a bad system? No. Did it excel over the Super Nintendo? No. And it's kind of proven now that the Super Nintendo did sell a lot better. And in my opinion, I find that they had more quality titles, but that didn't say that the Genesis didn't have quality titles on their own. Sure, the system had, a less color palette. Oh, by the way, this game is really cool if you can get your hands on it. It's kind of like a Contra but with Batman. It's pretty cool, a lot different than the Super Nintendo one. This game's awesome as well. But anyways, sure, had a lower color palette, had crunchy sound effects, but it did excel on originality with a lot of games. And they excelled at trying to push the hardware to its limit, where they would actually have ports. When the Super Nintendo was clearly a better machine to run, the Genesis was right up there, and they really knew how to utilize the processing power and everything that there is to program a Genesis game. So yeah, the Genesis was pretty good, even though they made a couple bad decisions with the add-ons. The original system itself. You know what? Wait, hold on a second. A lot of people say that this card is actually better than the Super Nintendo version. I have no idea why. I played them both. They seem pretty much the same, but everyone says it plays better on this. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, they had a couple of bad runs in the future, but the initial core system itself was really good. Its D-pad was exceptionally well. Its button layout was pretty good. The controller was pretty comfortable. When they came out with the 6 button, that was a very big plus, and you know, it was really good, especially for fighting games, because that's where it lacked. You know, it was hard to play games like World Heroes and Fatal Fury and Mortal Kombat with the traditional 3-button control scheme. So the Genesis was really good. It sold fairly good, and its titles were cool. Its ad campaign was amazing, and it really bashed the Super Nintendo at times. You're gonna see a couple of doubles. I don't have many, but the times when you buy lots. This is another Mortal Kombat 1, as you can tell, pretty mashed. But yeah, they just destroyed the Super Nintendo with their gimmicks of the blast processing and you know, Nintendo don't what Sega can or whatever like that. And it was just awesome to see those ads, because they put a lot of thought into it. That's Pit Fighter, and it was awesome to see. And you know what? No Genesis collection isn't complete without Tommy Lasorda of baseball, because I think everybody has that game with the Sonics as well. So yeah, now we're gonna move on to my boxed and some complete ones. Before I go back on topic, this is a sealed copy of Comic Zone, one of my favorites in the Sega Genesis collection. But back to what I was talking about. I always thought that the Sega Genesis was more of an adult-themed system due to its better sports titles and mature-themed games like the Mortal Kombat. And that's pretty much what I have to say about the Genesis. While I continue on, the Sega Genesis is a really good system to collect, not only for its great titles, but there are some really good rare ones you can find too. The regulars like the Sonics, the Mortal Kombats, the Aladdins, those you can all get from, you know, 99 cents to like a, you know, $5 you're gonna be paying max. So it's a really good way to start off a collection if you're a collector, or, you know, if you're inspiring to be one. And it didn't take me that long to get this collection. I only started collecting Genesis games about, you know, 3 months ago, and I just got a ton from, you know, eBay and garage sales and stuff like that, and thrift stores. But they also have neat boxes, you know, cool manuals, and it looks really cool when you stack them up. And with that too, there are some rare titles you can find for the Sega Genesis. Not as rare as you're going to be looking like for the list of the Super Nintendo, because they have like a ton of games which are, you know, some are practically impossible to find. But the Genesis has, you know, their competition carts. They have their Splatterhouse series 2 and 3, which are a pain in the ass to get. The Mutant League series, which there's only 2, football and hockey, which are really hard to get. And you know, the Shining Force, some of their RPGs complete are rare too. So it's a nice little hunt, nice little find. Here's another rare one. I don't have it complete, but it is a little tougher to get. They have a good selection of games to find and to get and to collect. So since I don't have much else to say, I will just name off the rest of the games that I have. Oh, one side note, the previous video that you've seen before was stating that I had a Sega Nomad and I was going to do a review next. The idiot hasn't called me back, and I've been waiting 5 days for this thing. And hopefully he's on his word and he will sell it to me at the proper price before he figures out that it's worth a lot more than what it is. Oh, here's a great game. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. You know, I don't think Super Nintendo would ever publish a Michael Jackson game. I don't think everyone will, with his allegations, but that's cool to have in the collection. The game's not bad as well. There's Vector Man, sadly, just the cartridge. Streets of Rage, which is an excellent fighting game. I never played it much as a child, but, you know, going back to it, it's really good. The Shinobi series, awesome game. The other Shinobi, which everyone knows a lot more, it's a lot more common. Yes, and it is a new arrival. Eternal Champions. That's not a bad fighting game. Oh, there, see, this is the rare one right here, Splatterhouse 3. 2 is a lot harder to find, and I think 2 is a lot better than 3. Everyone has a Sonic 2, even if you have a Genesis or not. I bet you have a copy. And there is Boogerman, timed exclusive, and it was hilarious. Not the best, but it was just funny to play. Sonic Spinball, and Road Rash, which the 3 games for the Genesis were great. So yeah, there's my collection. Hope you enjoyed. Look at this mess. I gotta clean it up. See you later, guys. Please subscribe and comment.